Most people think distraction is a personal flaw, a lack of discipline, a failure of willpower, an inability to focus. That belief is comforting because it keeps the problem small. If distraction is personal, then the solution is personal. Better habits, more discipline, another productivity system. But distraction today is not a personal failure. It is structural. Distraction is not something that happens to modern systems. It is something those systems are designed to produce. And once you see that, a lot of frustration dissolves. We live inside an attention economy. That phrase is used often, but rarely unpacked. An economy is simply a system of incentives. It rewards certain behaviors and suppresses others. In an attention economy, value is created by capturing, holding, and redirecting attention. Nothing else matters as much. Your focus is not a byproduct, it is the product. This changes how we should interpret distraction. Distraction is not noise leaking into a system that prefers clarity. Distraction is the output of a system that benefits from fragmentation. If you're constantly pulled away from deep focus, it's not because you're uniquely weak. It's because you're surrounded by incentives designed to interrupt you. Attention is scarce, and anything scarce becomes valuable. Modern platforms do not optimize for truth, understanding, or long-term thinking. They optimize for engagement. Engagement is measurable. Understanding is not. Engagement can be sold. Understanding cannot. So systems evolve around what can be measured and monetized. Clicks, swipes, notifications, reactions, outrage. These are not accidental. They are engineered responses to incentive structures that reward time spent, not insight gained. This is why distraction feels relentless, because it is. Your attention is being competed for continuously by systems that operate at scale, with feedback loops measured in real time. Your individual self-control is being pitted against industrial optimization. That is not a fair contest. Yet we continue to frame the problem as personal. Why can't I focus? Why am I so distracted? Why does my attention feel fractured? The answer is not motivational, it is mechanical. Distraction is the natural state of an environment optimized for extraction. The more time you spend distracted, the more value is generated elsewhere. The system does not care whether distraction makes you anxious, unfocused, or exhausted. Those costs are externalized. The benefit is internalized. This is the core asymmetry. Distraction benefits the system. Focus benefits the individual. So the system does not optimize for focus. This is why the idea of just turning notifications off feels naive, not because it's wrong, but because it treats symptoms rather than structure. You are not just dealing with notifications. You are dealing with an entire ecosystem designed to keep you in a reactive state. Feeds are infinite by design. Notifications are variable by design. Content is polarizing by design. These features exist because they work. The goal is not to inform you. The goal is to keep you returning. And the most effective way to do that is to keep your attention fragmented. Fragmentation creates dependency. Dependency creates predictability. Predictability creates revenue. This is why outrage spreads faster than nuance, why short form dominates long form, why complexity is flattened into slogans, why depth feels rare. Depth does not scale easily. Distraction does. The system is not broken. It is functioning exactly as designed. Once you understand that, the moral weight lifts. You stop blaming yourself for struggling to concentrate in an environment that actively undermines concentration. You also stop expecting the system to change. Systems do not abandon profitable incentives voluntarily. So the question becomes different, not how do I focus harder, but how do I protect focus inside a system that erodes it? This is where structure matters more than discipline. Discipline assumes constant resistance. Structure removes friction. Highly focused people are not usually more disciplined. They are more insulated. They have fewer points of intrusion. Their environments are simpler. Their inputs are controlled. They are not fighting distraction all day. They are avoiding it by design. This is the hidden distinction. Most productivity advice focuses on behavior, but behavior is downstream of environment. If your environment is hostile to focus, behavior will always lose eventually. This is why willpower burns out. The attention economy runs on interruption. Every interruption resets context. Every reset reduces depth. Over time, the ability to sustain focus atrophies. This is not a character flaw. It is a cognitive adaptation. Brains adapt to environments. An environment of constant novelty produces shallow attention. An environment of stability produces depth. We are swimming in novelty. Notifications are not neutral signals. They are calls to action. Each one demands a decision. Ignore, engage, postpone. Decision-making itself consumes cognitive resources. Even ignored notifications tax attention. This is why mental fatigue sets in so quickly. The cost is not just time lost, it is coherence lost. When attention is fragmented, thinking becomes reactive. You respond instead of reflect. You skim instead of reason. You consume instead of synthesize. Over time, this changes how people think. This is the deeper cost of permanent distraction. It doesn't just steal minutes, it reshapes cognition. Long-term thinking requires uninterrupted stretches of attention. Strategy requires holding multiple variables in mind. Insight requires silence. All of these are incompatible with constant interruption. So systems that profit from attention capture also profit from the erosion of long-term thinking. Again, this is not conspiracy. It is incentive alignment. The system does not need to make you stupid. It only needs to keep you busy. Busyness feels productive. Distraction feels like movement. That's why many people feel exhausted without feeling accomplished. They are active all day, but nothing compounds. Focus compounds. Distraction dissipates. This is the trade-off most people never consciously make. The good news is that once you understand the structure, you can respond structurally. You do not need to out-discipline the system. You need to limit its access. This starts with recognizing that attention is not infinite. It must be allocated deliberately. Anything that does not support your long-term objectives should not have default access to your focus. Defaults matter. Most people live inside defaults they did not choose. Default notifications, default feeds, default information diets, default urgency. Defaults shape behavior more than intentions ever will. So reclaiming focus is less about heroic effort and more about redesigning defaults. This does not require becoming a hermit or rejecting technology. It requires understanding that technology optimizes for its incentives, not yours. Your job is to create a boundary. Boundaries feel uncomfortable at first because they remove stimulation. But the discomfort is not boredom. It is withdrawal from constant novelty. It passes. On the other side is depth. Depth is where leverage compounds. Depth is where strategy forms. Depth is where original thought emerges. This is why focused people tend to pull ahead over time. Not because they are smarter, but because their attention is coherent. Their efforts compound instead of scatter. The system will not reward you for reclaiming focus. In fact, it will resist. That resistance is the signal that you are doing something valuable. Permanent distraction is not an accident of modern life. It is the natural outcome of systems that monetize attention at scale. Once you see that, the narrative shifts. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not undisciplined. You are operating inside an environment that profits from your fragmentation. Understanding this does not make distraction disappear, but it does restore agency. It allows you to stop internalizing a structural problem. Focus becomes a strategic asset, and like any scarce asset, it must be protected deliberately. Distraction is an industry. Focus is a decision. And once you understand the incentives at play, that decision becomes much clearer.